If they're just itching for an excuse to lay people off and they want to make it politically look good at the company, what better fall guy than AI? Well, we found out that, our programmers can be 10 times more productive because of AI technology, so we're reducing our workforce to be more efficient and lean. Go anywhere online today and you can find fortune tellers that suddenly have popped up out of nowhere, and they can tell you exactly where to go and what's changing in the industry with AI. Or maybe your leadership at your company you work for has decided to buy into this panic, and they're suddenly flipping all their plans on its head, changing projects, canceling things, firing people because they're wrapped up in the hype. And worst of all, you've got influencers everywhere telling you if you don't learn technology A, B, C, D, E, all these new AI technologies, you're not a real programmer and you're going to be left behind. And you suddenly start wondering, is that true? Do I need to drop everything in my career and jump headfirst into every AI technology I see? Or in the future, I'm not even going to be able to provide for myself. I'm not going to be able to provide for my family. Well, time to chill out a little bit. Let's look at this rationally. I'm making this video today to try to help you look past some of the propaganda, the fear, and the groups of people that really stand to gain by you panicking about AI, and instead just give you some basic advice. I think this is going to be pretty common sense, but I think a lot of people are so wrapped up in the buzz, they don't really think about it. And hopefully that'll help you stay calm and healthy in your career. If you think back in recent memory, the pandemic we just got through, no matter which side you fall on, whether certain policies passed by our government were legal or made sense or not, man, am I not going to get in the middle of that in this video. I think we can all agree that there are some people that used that situation to get power, to make money, to get control over you. And, you look back another 20 years and 9/11, it was a similar situation. Regardless of what you think happened on that day and whether you believe it or not, there were definitely people in the government, people in private industry, just employers who made a lot of decisions to use that sort of panicked event to try to gain a lot of influence, make a lot of extra money, and really get a lot of power over people. And even in the software industry, if you look as recently as, for example, when microservices first, came onto the scene, you had books being written about it everywhere. You had people being interviewed telling everyone exactly what they need to do with regards to microservices. And if they don't suddenly introduce it to their latest product, they're not going to be able to scale anymore. And no programmers are going to want to work for you anymore. And I think we've seen how that's played out. There was quite a bit of alarmism in that whole situation. Well, while AI really has dramatically changed society and it's changing work right now as we're sitting in the middle of this, I really want you to just be careful that you don't get caught up in the propaganda and the fear. And so today in this video, I really hope this helps you by just bringing some common sense, some things that I've learned over the 26 years I've been in software development, and I've seen fads and technologies change, and it can give you some really actionable things that you can do to try to put yourself in the best position in the middle of all this, this tempest of a storm of AI. And rather than panicking about it, just stay calm, put the best plans in place that you can, and keep moving forward with your career. So who stands to gain from freaking you out about AI, from putting all this fear in you and creating all this urgency? Well, the first group of people is the media, whether it's traditional media, TV, movies, magazines, newspapers, if anybody reads them anymore, or YouTubers. People on X, people with thumbnails and, clickbaity titles that want to hijack the emotions inside of you that are worried. Oh my God, if I don't find out about this, am I not going to be able to work anymore? Be very careful. Those companies can make a lot of money. Those YouTubers can get a lot of clicks. Now, obviously, I'm a YouTuber. You should take everything I say with a grain of salt, just like everybody else. But If you look at a thumbnail or a title or a headline or an article and you see really incendiary language in there, remember, this is a person who's probably trying to make a lot of money. They're not necessarily motivated by giving you, balanced, rational advice about how to deal with this whole situation. Also, employers. If there's a company out there and they've got, let's say, 5, 10, 15% of the workforce that for whatever reason, they need to lay people off. Maybe a project got canceled. Maybe they, partnered with another company and they no longer need some of the staff. If they're just itching for an excuse to lay people off and they want to make it politically look good at the company, what better fall guy than AI? Well, we found out that, our programmers can be 10 times more productive because of AI technology, so we're reducing our workforce to be more efficient and lean. Be careful out there, because if you start reading press releases, if you start seeing emails from your own company's leadership and they start to use AI as a reasoning for why certain, structural changes are happening in the company, that may not necessarily be true. It may more just be a convenient excuse. Also, there's a lot of people out there who just want to start up a company and sell it. Hey, I was in a similar situation maybe about 10 years ago. I had some really cool product ideas. I wanted to create a product. I did want to serve a customer base, but I also was hoping to eventually sell the company. And there's some people out there who don't even care about serving, the customer base. They just want to make a quick buck. And if you start a new company today and you put AI in your branding and, you talk about AI in front of investors, there's a lot of people who are getting caught up in this buzz right now that will be happy to give you a bunch of cash, that'll be happy to hook you up with the top engineers to hire for your company. So, also be careful whenever you're reading anything about, companies that you could work for or companies that have come up with new products and this new darling, company with this new innovative thing they're doing through AI. Sure, AI is incredible. And there's a huge list of changes and technologies it's bringing about. But there's also a lot of companies where what AI is doing for them is very minimal. And it's just being used, to hype it up. And so just be careful if you're out there, not to get sucked into the fear and the buzz and the urgency around a company you hear about or an open source technology or a new SaaS platform just because it's got AI in the name. And finally, tech training companies are very motivated to create as many courses and education programs as possible for any new technology that comes out, because ultimately they'll sell more copies of the course, so they'll enroll more students and they'll make more money. And hey, I have nothing against tech training companies. I'm not trying to specifically criticize them, but I am saying they do stand to gain from, if you are so scared about what AI is going to do to your job, that in urgency and paranoia and fear, you start enrolling in these courses and you start learning these things, not because strategically it's the right decision for your job, not because you're doing something as part of your work where you have to learn it, or you really have chosen, I'm going to actually move into some particular AI technology because I've really thought it through. They stand to gain a lot from, let's be honest, very emotional, knee-jerk reactions from people. So how can you use AI without falling prey to fear and propaganda? Well, I think the first thing that you can do that's really smart to consider is to look at AI more as something that you should become a generalist in rather than a specialist. These technologies are going to change so fast. There's going to be new players week to week. And if you go up on LinkedIn or X, there are people whose whole online persona, it seems, is just to spam you with this change in AI and this new product in AI. And they're basically like AI technology, news aggregators. And if you get caught up in reading about that and try to learn all those technologies at a detailed level, you're going to run out of steam. You're not going to have the cognitive ability to just hang with it. So I would recommend one of the smartest things you can do is don't be ignorant of AI. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but don't try to go really deep in one particular technology, because you may find that in 6 months it gets deprecated and there's some other new technology that's really popular. And I think we're going to see a lot of people who in fear throw all their energy behind some AI technology that, this week or this month seems like the most important thing to learn. And maybe their company's telling them it's the most important thing to learn. But when really they look at their career over the next 2, 5, 10 years, a lot of these technologies that we're just starting to see emerge right now, they may not be there. The second thing you can do is really related to what I talked about at the beginning of the video, which is don't buy into the sensationalism. Learn to spot the sensationalism. Look, nobody knows what's going to happen with AI. I don't care if it's, people that work for OpenAI or it's scientists or researchers. They're going to tell you whatever's beneficial to tell you today. Whatever's going to benefit their strategy, whatever's going to benefit their company. Sure, there may be some truth in that, and I like to think most people aren't out there specifically trying to deceive you. But let's be honest about human nature, and let's be honest about business. If you've ever worked for a company and you've seen your own leadership make unethical decisions or be deceptive, what leads you to believe that these big players in AI, and I won't name all the companies, but I already named one, many of the others, what leads you to believe that there aren't people who also work for those companies that are just as motivated to be misleading and just as motivated to be sensationalist? So that's the second thing you can do if you want to really have a healthy career and you really want to move forward as all this AI change is happening and not freak out about it, is start to take a step back every time you see an article, every time you see a post from an influencer, every time you see a new course available, or even your friend tells you something, I saw this cool new AI technology. Try to take a step back and think for yourself, is this really as shocking and urgent? And, do I really need to throw all my energy into learning it? Or is it just an interesting fact? And it's really makes sense to just continue proceeding in your career as you have been and not let it become a giant distraction and a big stress that creates a lot of, frankly, anxiety for you. The third thing that I think will help you cope with AI being very popular now and not fear it so much is to remember you are the compiler. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. If you think of something somewhat more recent, like last 10, 15 years, like TypeScript, for example, if you know TypeScript, you know that JavaScript is a web-based programming language to make, interactive websites. And obviously you can do Node, you can do server-side, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can do mobile now with it. But, JavaScript is a basic technology that was, designed in the late 90s, and it's evolved tons since then. And people found there were certain features of JavaScript that they didn't like, that they didn't think were powerful enough. They didn't think it needed type safety. It needed a whole bunch of different stuff. And so Microsoft came along and created TypeScript, and basically it transpiles, right? It takes your JavaScript code and it converts it into TypeScript. Well, when there's a problem with the TypeScript, and this doesn't happen so much today, but this used to happen a lot when TypeScript was newer. If you don't know JavaScript, you're kind of just left scratching your head because you're looking at the output. You're looking at the compiled JavaScript that the TypeScript generates that actually runs on the browser. Well, AI is similar, meaning if you use AI to generate, generative assets or source code or, applications, anything, right? There's just a flurry of technologies coming out now that use AI in one way or another. If you are a programmer and you know the underlying programming language or technology or, cloud platform, whatever it is that AI technology is generating assets or code for, when things are wrong or it doesn't work the way that it should, you are the exact type of person who can look at the output and look at the assets and understand what went wrong, versus somebody who's brand new to programming. They've never written code. They don't know the language, and they're just using AI technologies with some prompts and some configuration and some higher order, maybe visual tools to output code. They're going to be completely lost when things go wrong. Now, as AI evolves, again, like I told you earlier, none of us know what's going to fully happen. I'm included in that, but I'm just trying to give you tips, just at least in the short to midterm, to not flip out about it and not feel like you have to drop everything and learn all this new AI stuff. Is you've still got a huge advantage today. And I think we will for a while, at least as programmers, that we understand code. We don't just understand the output of tools that generate code. We can write it ourselves. The fourth thing you can do that'll really help you not be as stressed about AI, not fear it so much, not panic about it, but actually embrace it, I think, is to use AI to diversify your skills. This is something I've started to do with ChatGPT specifically in the last year, but whether it's soft skills, you want to learn, how could I communicate to my manager better? How do I respond to a Slack message that was really kind of vogue? And my knee-jerk reaction is to kind of bitch at the person. Instead, I'm thinking, what would be a little bit better way to answer this? Ask ChatGPT, hey, I just got this response from my lead developer. I'm kind of pissed off, but what would be a way to respond to this that would not be, just kind of kissing their butt, but would be more politically correct or just not upset them maybe as much? See what it says. Is it going to be perfect? No, but I look at least ChatGPT. It can do a ton of things, right? But I look at it really beneficial as sort of like a learning assistant. It helps me learn. It helps me be more effective at things that maybe I just haven't done much before. Also, marketing. If you ever want to start a company, if you ever want to create a YouTube channel, if you ever want to have a podcast, if you write LinkedIn articles, if you want anybody to start to look at you as an expert or somebody that they would pay for a software product or education or anything like that, you need to learn digital marketing. This is something that I've been learning for the last 6 years myself. And I'll tell you, since ChatGPT came out, a lot of the books I've read, a lot of the different concepts, it has synthesized a lot of those in a way where I can ask it questions about, sales pages I'm creating for things, or, pages I'm creating to tell people about my career coaching, and it'll do a really great job. Now, again, it's not perfect, and some of the content it creates doesn't sound great, and I got to massage it a little, but it still saves me a ton of time. Also, you can use AI to help you learn other AI technologies. One of the things that these chat-based AIs are really good at is rapidly teaching you, creating, courses for you, education programs, giving you answers to things, rather than worrying about, maybe I'm a senior dev or a mid-level dev, and I'm worried that all these junior developers are going to come along and take my job because they can use ChatGPT or they can use Copilot. How about starting to use it yourself and using it to help you learn things faster so that you can get beyond senior developer, get into architect positions, create your own products, start your own companies. So, whether it's communication, learning to communicate with people better, marketing and sales, learning other AI technologies, I think you can fear AI a little bit less if you stop looking at it as something you have to master and really look at it like the new Google. It's really a tool that can help you learn a lot of stuff faster. Now, I know I'm only talking about chat-based AI tools like ChatGPT. I'm not talking about a lot of other AI technologies, but just specifically, I think one of the things, if you're worried about productivity and you're worried about people taking your jobs, that can help you is, hey, start using these tools to get really way better at some of the things that honestly programmers aren't as good at. And I think that'll also build some confidence, because I know a lot of people worry, is programming still going to be around in 5 years? And I sure as hell think it is. But if you're really worried about it, wouldn't one of the best things to do be to start to learn other skills than just programming, and also learn ones that are beneficial to a programming position? It's really a win-win. Another thing you can do that'll really help you cope with the fear and the panic around AI is consider starting a very small product company that's in a niche that's non-technical and use AI to help them. Now, I'm going to be creating a lot more content on this channel in the upcoming year in 2024 and beyond to help you with starting small product companies on the side, with going into business for yourself as a freelancer or consultant, again, on the side, transitioning into it. This is something I've kind of done over the last 6 years. I see a lot of developers now who just want to break free of sort of the corporate grind. But if this is something you're considering, if you want to, maybe not be as freaked out about what's your company going to do about AI, looking at companies out there who aren't as technical, laundromats, manufacturers of different plastics, every kind of industry you can think of where maybe you can find ways to sell products or build products that use AI to help those non-technical companies where there's a real business case there. You can really show, hey, by building this tool, it's saving them a ton of money, or it's reducing their staff, or it's letting them do things they've never done before. I think so many people are caught up in how do I create an AI product or maybe a startup that's based on, AI technology, like being an AI tech company, which, hey, that's sexy, that's attractive. If you want to raise a bunch of money and show off to someone at a dinner party, I have an AI tech company, cool, go for it. But it's a hell of a lot easier. If you want to be a solopreneur or start up a company, try to find a company or an industry rather that's not very technical and find innovative ways to apply AI to it where you can really solve their problems, build, a minimum viable product to get to them with not a lot of effort, not a lot of money. I mean, at the end of the day, if that company is only worth, let's say, $1 million a year, it's probably a hell of a lot more than you're making. So don't get caught up in thinking, the only way you can benefit from AI yourself if you want to start a company is that you got to start an AI tech company. The other thing you can use AI for that I think will chill you out a little bit and give you more options if you're worried as a programmer is start to think about maybe using it to offer courses or education to non-technical companies to help them use AI. You're probably starting to see people do this, but like a simple example, and I wouldn't suggest this specifically because it's already, I think, a saturated market, is there's a lot of people in digital marketing, helping people. Digital marketing is basically helping people hear about a product or a service. It's when you see advertisements on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or anywhere, that's digital marketing. There's a lot more to it than just ads, but there's people out there now who are actually selling products and services to teach small businesses, for example, like if you were a startup, hey, here's how to do digital marketing using AI. So they're not like creating a whole new product in that they're, programming a bunch of stuff, but they're giving them prompts to use. They're helping them learn how to use ChatGPT. Again, in this simple example, I know there's way more AI technologies than just chat based. I'm well aware of that. But, that's one thing you can consider too, is if you're in some particular niche of programming or DevOps or technology, could you possibly start to create some courses that teach companies, let's say that need to learn how to use Terraform, here's how to write some ChatGPT prompts that will generate, Terraform configuration, let's say, for a specific problem that you have. Again, I'm just making something up. But my point is, like, if you get creative about it, you can kind of take some of the programming things that you've learned, figure out a way to use AI to sort of accelerate some of the, the code or just the problems that need to be solved that need to come out of that, and then package that up, start selling that either as a consultant where you're helping people do it. Maybe they don't do it themselves. They hire you to help, or you come in and you just sell them a package or a product and they do it themselves. So what are you doing to spot the AI hype? What are you doing to kind of prevent the fear from taking over? What are some of the opportunities that you see from AI? And are there some things this year that you want to change in your career or that you're thinking of doing as a result of how crazy everything's changing? Let me know about it in the comments. Until next time, thanks.